It's time for another ranked opponent to visit the link.
We'll preview football's upcoming matchup with Memphis.
And the wait is almost over. I'm Andrea Malizia with Men's Hoops as the Owls are getting ready for their opener versus Drexel.
Plus, volleyball hosts its first ever school day game with hundreds of young fans invading McGonigal Hall.
OwlSports Update is live and it starts right now. Hello and welcome back to TV Studio 3. Alongside Adam Criminali, I'm JJ Mahowski. And Adam, hoops are back on Broad Street.
One football videographer turns his public challenge into a national story that's raising money for charity. But first, it's homecoming at the link on Saturday. It's a big one on Saturday for homecoming. The Owls welcome in the undefeated and nationally ranked Memphis Tigers to town. The Tigers sit at 5-0, ranked 23rd in the country. This is the second time the Owls have faced off against a ranked team, beating then number 21 Maryland this last month. But this one is much more important thanks to the impact it will have on the conference standings. And when the Owls take the field, you should expect a two-quarterback approach. Both Anthony Russo, the pocket passer, and Todd Centeo, the mobile quarterback, played in last week's win over ECU.
Yeah, we support each other all the way. You know, all those guys in that quarterback room, we all want the best for each other. We all want the best for the team. You know, whatever we need to do in that quarterback room to get this team a W, we're going to do. So if we have to play one guy, two guys, 10 guys, whatever it is, you know, in that quarterback room, we want to do whatever it is to get Temple football a win.
It's tough to get two quarterbacks on the field, right? I mean, you got two left guards that are battling it out. You rotate series, no one asks you a question about it.
You have the game plan for Russo and you have the game plan for me. So we bring two different elements to the game, so that you just have the game plan for it.
After hearing from the team, we've decided to give our own opinions on the football season so far. First debate question, Adam. Here in 2019, who's the most valuable player for the Owls so far this season? My pick on this one, Jaden Blue. The redshirt sophomore saw his first action last year, but has been one of Russo's most reliable targets so far in 2019. A career game against Maryland in Week 2 resulted in Blue's last touchdown reception, but look for him to be a difference maker against the Memphis secondary this weekend.
I'm going with freshman running back Raymond Davis. In the past two games, Davis is averaging over 20 carries a game. And get this, he's also totaled 292 rushing yards in those contests. This is the first year the guy is playing college football. Keep feeding him the ball. He's already putting up numbers like this. Now, JJ, who do you think really needs to step up moving forward? I'm going with Anthony Russo. He's thrown 6 interceptions in the first 5 games of the season. And not to mention, it's a good sign that he, showed better signs against ECU without turning over the football, throwing any interceptions in that game. But he needs to continue that success with this tough stretch of games coming up.
Definitely agree with you there, but I think Isaiah Wright, he was the #1 punt returner last season and return specialist in the country. And now in his senior year, he's been a part of a shaky and disappointing special teams unit. He does have 4 receiving touchdowns, but I believe Rod Carey should be asking more of Wright as a return specialist. Last debate question, Adam. Toughest opponent coming up. You've got Memphis, SMU, UCF, and Cincinnati all on Temple's schedule moving ahead. I think the Bearcats pose the biggest challenge for the Owls in Week 12. Winner of that game could end up punching their ticket to the AAC Championship game on December 7th.
Keyword is could. I agree with you, but I'm not punching my ticket to the AAC Championship just yet. Temple's on the road for that game, and the Owls haven't really looked that great on the road, At home, they've looked a lot stronger. And the Bearcats look legit. Let's not forget, they beat former national champion, the UCF Knights, this past week.
So much for looking ahead. Let's get back to the task at hand and talk to the man who gets paid the big bucks to talk Temple football.
Joining us live outside of Edberg Olson Hall is Inside the Nest reporter Ray Dunn with a Memphis preview. Hey, Ray.
Hey, guys. Thank you very much. Now, Memphis and Temple have not played each other since 2016. That was back when Matt Rule was in charge. That's a whole 3 head coaches ago. That game ended up being Matt Rule's last loss as the Temple's head coach, as they went on to win 7 straight games, including an AAC title. Fast forward to 2019, and now these two programs might be giving us a championship preview on Saturday if they continue to play as advertised.
4-1.
Wild night it's been here.
That's the best start for the Owls since 2015, when they made it to the first of back-to-back conference championship games. 2015 is also the last time the Owls beat Memphis. The same program Temple will welcome to the Link on Saturday.
It's going to be a big test for us. Real physical on defense, real good defensive line, good defensive backs. Their linebackers play hard. They don't show many different looks, but they're gonna come out from the first snap to the last snap.
The Owls want another one of those logos on that wall. It's going to take a lot over the next 3 weeks. First up, back-to-back games against unbeaten ranked teams in Memphis and SMU, and then the 2-time reigning AAC champions in UCF come to town.
I want them all to be ranked, to be honest with you. Just more of a challenge, more of an emphasis. Everybody always doesn't believe in us, and we're the only ones that believe in us. So playing a big opponent like that, that's what we want.
In this sport, if you don't want to play the best opponents every week, then you shouldn't be playing this sport. To be the best, you have to beat the best.
It all starts with a solid performance against Memphis, a team that features one of the premier defenses in the American.
Their players are so disruptive. They're up the field, penetrating players. Linebackers are downhill. And like I said, they really change their coverage. They're not going to sit in one coverage all day.
While the Tigers certainly have a bite to them, remember, the Owls are home, where they're not only unbeaten in 3 tries, they've won these 3 by an average of 23 points per game.
Arguably the biggest game of the weekend for the AAC starts Saturday at noon at the Link. Temple is unbeaten at home and Memphis is unbeaten on the year, so somebody's O has got to go. And you might want to show out early for this one because it's homecoming, as the festivities will certainly be going on out in the parking lot as generations past celebrate Temple's talent of today. Now, for the matchup, I see it going similar to the way Maryland went. Maryland's offense jumped off the page coming into the game against Temple, much like Memphis's offense. But they're going on the road against a tough Owls defense. Expect this one to be a close one. I'll take the Owls to beat another ranked team at home. Reporting live for Edberg Olson Hall, I'm Ray Dunn. JJ and Adam, back to you.
Thanks, Ray. The Tigers are just the start of this tough stretch for Temple. Following Saturday's game, the Owls will knock heads with back-to-back conference opponents. First, 21st ranked SMU in Texas before coming home to take on 2-time defending conference champs UCF. Temple also faces 25th ranked Cincinnati in November. That's 4 ranked opponents for Temple this season.
The Owls come into this Memphis game on a roll. They've won their last 2, including their first road win at ECU last Thursday, and this one was a crazy one. Temple wins the toss and defers the kickoff to the second half. Opening drive of the game for the Pirates, it's Holton Eilers delivering a pass across the middle to CJ Johnson for the score. Temple changing things up under center. As we've mentioned, it's Todd Centeo who delivers this dime down the field to find Brandon Mack at the 22-yard line, making the highlight reel catch. The drive results in a field goal for the Owls. Midway through the second quarter now, and Temple trailing 7-3. Jagger Gardner gets the handoff. He finds a hole with running room and takes the ball across the goal line for a touchdown. Temple now up 10-7. ECU answers with a field goal of their own. Temple on the next drive inside the 5-yard line, hands it off once again. It's Ray Davis up the middle, diving in to break the tie. Owls up 17-10. Now late in the third quarter, Rod Carey pulling a few trick plays out. The ball goes to Isaiah Wright on the jet sweep, who's jumping around, and he's into the end zone with ease. Under 4 minutes left in the game, and as my mom always asks, where were you when the lights went out? In the dark. That's right, a power outage puts the game on hold with Temple driving. Someone needs to investigate where PD the Pirate was on this one. The light malfunction delays the game for 15 minutes, but isn't enough to end it. Under a minute left, and Eilers finds Johnson for their second connection of the night. But Temple is in control. Your final score, Temple 27, ECU 17.
Russo completed 23 passes on 34 attempts with 1 touchdown and no interceptions. He finished with about 6 yards per pass attempt and a quarterback rating of 62.8. Freshman running back Raymond Davis had another standout performance, rushing for 157 yards on 24 carries. Two receivers put over 100 yards up on the game, Brandon Mack with 107 and Isaiah Wright with 104, both with 9 catches. Wright also notched a kick return of 55 yards in Temple's 4th win of the season. And we're up against our first break, but don't go anywhere.
While some sports are in mid-season form, one of the big ones is just getting started.
Yes, OwlSports updates Andrea Malizia talking to the Owls, who are trying to turn their summer sweep in the Bahamas into a strong start as the regular season nears. OwlSports update, we'll be right back.
Welcome back to OwlSports Update. We are less than a month away from the start of the basketball season, so it's worth mentioning that the Owls have already been working for a while now with a strong first showing in the Bahamas over the summer. Temple edged out a victory over the Commonwealth Bank Giants 98-96 to start off the trip. The Owls finished on a 16-3 run after trailing with 5 minutes left. Temple cruised through its second game versus IBA Elite, winning 94-67 with a 40-point halftime lead. The Owls finished their sweep of their international trip with an 88-74 victory over the Bahamas select team.
The Bahamas tournament gave the team a small taste of what to expect from the first-year head coach Aaron McKie. Joining us at the Plasma with one more of the new looks on Temple's basketball team is OwlSports Update, Andrea Malizia. Hey, Andrea.
Thanks, Adam. It's almost that time of the year again. Men's basketball opens its season early next month, and with new head coach Aaron McKie, the Owls have already made program history, not only traveling to the Bahamas for the first time ever, but dominating down south.
New season, new head coach, no problem for the Owls. For the first time since 2013, men's basketball got to travel abroad. This time, it was to the Bahamas in the beginning of August for the BBF Summer of Thunder exhibition.
Bahamas was a great time. It was a great time as a family. I think we got a lot closer. Guys got to know each other a little bit better, got acclimated with the new guys on the court.
Now, these trips are so important for the team even months before the real season begins, especially when you have a new head coach taking over. Yes, of course, McKie was assistant coach for the past 5 years, but when a new head man is in charge, there are bound to be changes. However, McKie is no rookie. As a former player, he is no stranger to the tradition and competitive nature of the program here at Temple.
Yeah, it is. It's always good to win. I mean, I don't think there's anything good that comes out of finishing in second place, you know, or finishing with a loss. You know, you'll hear a coach say, hey, we learned some things, you know, from a loss, but it's always good to get a win, especially for me.
It's the legacy of Hall of Fame former coach Fran Dunphy, who was in charge on North Broad for 13 years.
That's a big difference. Like now, he's younger, so naturally everything's like much more like faster, more intense, and I think it benefits like the players of this team. Like everybody that's on this team likes to play fast, likes to play intense. So I mean, him and his coaching style and our playing style, like they fit perfectly.
Now, McKie's move to a head coaching position made national news, in part thanks to his time in the NBA. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski was on campus over the weekend when he spoke at the Temple Sports Media Summit, and he's expecting a continued tradition of excellence coming from North Broad.
I mean, he is, to me, like the quintessential Temple coach. John Chaney personified Temple. I mean, he did, and to me, Aaron McKie is an extension of that. And the one thing that's, to me, always unique about Philly college basketball is it's pretty rare that they hire coaches from the outside. Like you're not seeing coaches from LA or Chicago or sometimes even New York. Like everybody who coaches mostly at the Philly schools, they have Philly roots. Either they may have gone away, but they're from here or spent a lot of time here. And like Aaron McKie to me fits right into that.
McKie's debut is November 5th at the Leah Corr Center as the Owls take on the Drexel Dragons. Reporting from Plasma, I'm Andrea Malizia. Adam and JJ, back to you.
Thanks, Andrea. Over to men's soccer, where Temple was coming off a last-minute win to Old Dominion. This one against Cincy. Early on, it's Brandon Johnson headbutting home his first goal of the season off a corner kick to put the Owls up early. The Bearcats respond though. No whistle blown after Shavon Stewart was tripped up on the play, and the Owls defense freezes up, leading to the score from Mason Volker. The game would go to double overtime, but neither team scored. The conference game ends in a 1-1 tie. The guys dropped a close match 3 days later, 1-0 to St. John's. The Owls held the nation's 13th best offense to just one shot on goal, but the Red Storm converted that one for the game's only goal. Temple looks to bounce back this Saturday in a road matchup against Memphis.
It's time that we take another 90 seconds for a breather.
When we come back, we'll tell you why McGonigal Hall turned into the huge field trip for local students at one volleyball match. We'll be right back.
Whenever you're ready. I'm Adrian Wojnarowski with ESPN, and you're watching the Owl Sports Update on TUTV.
Welcome back. This past week, the women's soccer team faced two conference opponents on the road, including Tulsa and nationally ranked Memphis. The Owls did not record a goal in either game, getting outscored a combined 3-0. Temple is now 1-3 in conference play. 5 of their last 6 matchups will be against conference foes, and it starts Thursday when the Owls take on SMU at the Temple Sports Complex for their 5th conference game of the season.
And Adam, bad luck for volleyball. It's been a tale of 2 seasons for the volleyball team, at least so far. The Owls started 2019 as hot as they ever have with a program record 9 straight wins. But it's been all downhill since then, with the Owls riding a 4-match losing streak headed into a busy weekend that started with UConn. This was a loud one, hundreds of youngsters in the crowd for the first school day game early in the match, and it's Katerina Papazoglou burying the ball in the backcourt. She had 22 kills on the afternoon. Temple wins the first set by a final score of 25-21. But the Huskies come back fighting and win the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th sets to defeat the Owls 3-1. Moving on to Sunday afternoon when the Houston Cougars made a trip to North Broad. Houston won the first 2 sets of this match and had plenty of opportunities to put it away. Temple wasn't ready to give up a sweep and fought back from a 16-10 deficit in the 3rd set. The Owls took a lead and Naomi Yanitsky got the final kill to send the match to a 4th set. Temple dominated in set 4, winning 25-11. Ultimately, Houston regained control in the final set and got to 15 points first with this kill right here. Houston wins 3-2. The Owls began the season with the best start in program history at 9-0. Their hot streak came to an end with losses to both Villanova and Princeton at the Big 5 Challenge in mid-September. Since then, they've gone winless in 6 straight matches. Their most recent, that dramatic loss to Houston, bringing their record to 9-6 in 2019. The Owls are still looking for that first conference win.
In that match against UConn, there were hundreds of kids there as part of probably the best field trip they will likely take all year.
We now welcome in OwlSports Update's Caitlin Checkett to explain. Hey, Caitlin.
Thanks, guys. The volleyball team had a tough weekend on the court, but no score can compare to the energy from hundreds of local elementary and middle school students who came to Temple for a field trip that didn't involve books, pencils, pens, or any real homework.
Madness. That's what you get when you give an open invitation to area schools. 700 local students came to see the volleyball players last Friday for the team's first ever school day event, featuring activities such as coloring, singing, and lessons from the players.
I think we can teach them what it looks like to work as a team, to play with sportsmanship, whether you're winning or losing, and I think that those are all valuable lessons no matter the score.
Many of the school day visitors look up to the volleyball team as role models, making this day just as meaningful for the players as it is for the young kids.
At one point in their lives, they were those little kids, right? And for them to see some of these kids getting excited and taking pictures with them, asking for autographs, I mean, that's a tremendous experience for them.
We all used to go to volleyball games and look up to older players, and it's weird now that we're that for other little kids.
Usually filled with Temple students, these bleachers were booming with local elementary and middle school kids who had some of the highest energy that McGonigal Hall has ever seen.
I mean, if you watch the beginning of our match, I mean, really made an impact on UConn's team and really gave us an advantage, I think. Just to see these little kids getting excited about plays, either side of the court, I think that's just a great feeling.
With the first year in the books, the volleyball team is hoping to make School Day an annual event that area schools will circle on their calendars.
The volleyball team will continue its conference play this Friday against the East Carolina Pirates, hoping to end their 6-game losing streak. Adam and JJ, back to you.
It's time for our final timeout, but don't go anywhere.
Yeah, when we come back, we have a riddle for you. What do you get when you tweet at a retired NFL punter challenging him to a punt-off on national TV? Find out when OwlSports Update returns in 90 seconds. Welcome back to OwlSports Update. The field hockey team was back in action on Friday, taking on the UConn Huskies. This one was rough for the Owls. This goal here from Jessica Dombrowski was the first of 2 goals on the night for her. UConn scored early and often throughout the game and outshot Temple 22-3 in the contest. Temple went on to lose this one 5-0, dropping its record to 5-4 on the season and 0-3 in the conference play.
For fans of football, the name Pat McAfee is familiar. The former Indianapolis Colts punter turned Thursday Night Football analyst was on ESPN, and he was the center of attention last week in Temple's game versus ECU. This all thanks to the Owls videographer Scott Hayward, who before the game challenged the former NFL punter to a punt-off via Twitter. This challenge never really materialized, but it did turn into a meeting on the field before the game. McAfee told Hayward, "If you could punt the ball 30 yards, I'll give you $10,000 to donate to a charity of your choice."
So probably during the summer, when we were just like in our office hanging out, we had the idea to make a video account because other schools in the American had them. And we knew Pat would be calling some of our Thursday games. So he was kind of our big fish that we wanted to get a hold of. And we just wanted him to acknowledge us, and turned into way more than that, I guess.
I'll tell you what, brother. Pat McAfee might be a great announcer, but he thinks he's a big man with his golden foot. I'll tell you what, I'm the cream, and the cream always rises to the top. So anytime you're ready, Pat, I'm challenging you to a punt-off. Mano y mano. Let's go for it, brother.
So the punt was my first attempt of the day. I got a call from our video coordinator that Pat was down there, and we just went off at one attempt.
Just getting some. You gonna get it? Let's go, Macho! 10 grand to charity. Macho!
That's for the brand #1. Pressure makes diamonds. Diamonds last forever. Lock in.
We wanted to give Pat McAfee a shout out for his generous donation. Also, a big shout out to our boy Matt Hasselbeck for making everything possible. And our last shout out goes to our head football coach Rod Carey, who will also be matching the donation.
Scotty punted that ball 34 yards, exceeding his goal. The donation from McAfee of $10,000 was matched by Coach Rod Carey. Scott had the opportunity to announce that the money will head to the Boys and Girls Club of Philadelphia.
Yeah, be sure to follow us on social media. That's all the time we have today. Inside the Nest is back next week with Brooklyn Vaughn and Dan Wilson. And don't forget, we have coverage of breaking down homecoming as well, JJ.
Plus, be sure to tune in next Thursday for more OwlSports Update coverage as Sean McGeehan and Brian Steinmetz return to the desk. For Adam Cernali, I'm JJ Michalski. Have a great weekend, everyone.